Hey, look what I've picked up today. This is the iPhone 14 Pro. Now, a lot of people on the channel often ask me what cameras I use to film my Tesla videos. Now, the camera you're viewing me on right now is the Sony a7S III, and that's a camera I use about 50% of the time. The other 50% of the time, I'm often filming on an iPhone, and I don't think a lot of people can tell when I switch between those cameras. So what I wanted to do today is take out the new iPhone over the weekend, use every single camera on it, show you what it can do in terms of video, just in case you're interested in starting up your own channel, or if you just are interested in the iPhone and how good the camera and video capabilities are. So this video is going to be all about video quality. So everything you're going to see from this point onwards will all be filmed on the iPhone 14 Pro. So let's go. So we're now on the iPhone 14 Pro. This is the brand new selfie camera. Yes, for the first time in many, many years, Apple have updated the selfie camera and it's now 12 megapixel, which basically means you've got more detail and it should have less noise as well. If you've ever used your iPhone front-facing camera to do vlogging or video or photos at night, you know, it can be quite noisy and not pixelated, but it'll have a lot of grain in it. So now it's been improved. I'm inside the car, it's low light. How does it look? Now, one reason I like using an iPhone to film is all of the different focal lengths. Now you're seeing me on the 1x, and the 1x zoom is what a lot of cameras will have, or a lot of phone cameras will have. But you have the ultra wide. So look at that, I tap that, and now we have a really wide angle view, which is hard to get even with some really expensive lenses I've got for my camera. So I just love this ultra wide. It means you can do shots like this from the back of the car as well. So if you're filming inside your Tesla or any car, you need a really wide angle lens so the viewer can see all of the car. So that's the great thing about this super ultra wide angle lens. Let me show you. So this is the 1x camera on the iPhone, and 1x is obviously what you'll get with any smartphone. But what I really like is the ultra wide. Let's tap that and look how much wider this is. This means you can get some really nice shots of the interior of your car. You'll often see me do shots like this where I kind of pan down. And what's great about this is it's so steady and stable. I'm just doing this handheld, and it means you can pull in and out and get some nice steady shots. Also, while I'm in the back here, you've got a 1x zoom, which is like this. You've got a 2x zoom, which is like this, and a 3x zoom. So you can actually get some really cool shots using the 3x zoom from the back of your car as well. The iPhone 13 Pro and 14 Pro also have a macro mode, which is on the ultra wide lens. So if we take a look at the stitching here on the Tesla seat, it looks a bit like this. So now we've got the macro mode on, and look how close we can get to this stitching. Isn't that just insane? We can get even closer than that. And that's the macro mode on the iPhone 14 Pro. If you need to show any details of anything, plants, car interiors, whatever it is you need to show, this macro mode, it's absolutely fantastic. It doesn't work particularly well in low light, but look, here's the window button on the car, the fabric on the side panel of the Tesla. It's pretty impressive, isn't it? The iPhone also has this cinematic mode, so you get nice blurry backgrounds, so the camera looks less like a smartphone camera and more like a mirrorless or DSLR. What do you think? So the first morning I had this iPhone 14 Pro, I took a walk down to RHS Bridgewater, which is an RHS Gardens. I thought it'd be a great place to test out the video qualities of this camera. So let's check it out. Okay, so let's start off with the front-facing selfie camera, because let's be honest, this is one of the worst cameras on an iPhone, but it's one of the cameras we use the most. You know, a lot of people take selfies, they'll do vlogs like I'm doing right now, talking to this camera. So it's always been a shame, I've felt, that the quality has been in the past quite poor. And this camera's had a big upgrade this year. So it's now 12 megapixel and it's got autofocus for the first time. So what do you think of the quality of this? I mean, what I tend to do if I'm filming a vlog from my iPhone, I'll actually turn the camera around and try and use the back camera, but maybe I can now use the front-facing camera Okay, so this is cinematic mode on the front-facing camera. It should be a little bit better now with that 12 megapixel camera, but how does it look? Again, I'll spin around, the sun's facing me right now, and then I'll spin around with the sun to my back. How's it cutting me out? It always did a fairly poor job before, I felt, but with good sunlight, what's it like? Let me know. Would you use cinematic mode on the front-facing selfie camera? Now, whilst we're kind of vlogging, I thought I would turn the camera around and use the one-time zoom on the back of the iPhone. And to be honest, this is what I'll actually use if I am doing vlogging, just because the quality of this camera is much higher quality than the front-facing selfie camera. Now, of course, the selfie camera's been vastly improved this year, so maybe I won't need to do that anymore. But what I've noticed is the stabilization this year is up another level. It does look extremely stable in the shots that I've done so far. Obviously, I can't see this one now because I'm recording it. And what else I've noticed is the background blur is a little bit better as well. I think because it's got a bigger image sensor, it can let in a lot more light. I think it's just helping with the background blur. So it's actually looking like a really good camera. I like to have a Sony ZV-1 or another type of camera with me for these type of vlogs, but actually maybe the iPhone 14 Pro now can do away with all my sort of point and shoot cameras, you know. What do you think? Let me know of the image quality coming out of the 1x rear camera on the iPhone 14 Pro. Okay, whilst we're in vlogging mode, I thought I would try this out, and I never normally do this. This is now the ultra-wide camera on the back of the iPhone. And I would never normally use this to vlog because the quality in the past has been extremely poor. Now, I'm in quite a shaded area, I'm behind some trees, but it's quite a nice bright day. So how does this look? I mean, the stabilization is very good on the ultra-wide, and the image quality has been improved. So could this be an option? The good thing about this is because it is so wide, it's much easier to frame yourself. And of course, you get to see more of the background when you're doing a bit of vlogging. So this will look a little bit more like a GoPro, a little bit kind of fisheye looking when you get to the edge of the frame. But let me know, could this be an option for vlogging? So let's take a look at some of these focal lengths. This is the 0.5 ultra wide, then we go to the 1x wide, and then this new 2x wide view, and then the 3x view. So you now have 4 focal lengths or zooms you can use with the iPhone 14 Pro. So there's one feature I want to try, and it's the action mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run down this hill as fast as I can, and we're going to see how good the action mode is. I'm not going to try and keep the camera steady. So let's give it a go. Let's run to the bottom. Now I'm really shaking here. On the screen it looks terrible. So how will this come out? Now, so you can get a better example of how shaky this actually was, I recreated this walking down the canal. Look how much I'm shaking this camera, the iPhone, and look at the footage. Look how it comes out on the right hand side. It's just incredible. Now, as I'm editing, one thing I really noticed was how stable this footage actually looks. And just bear in mind, this is all handheld. I'm not using a gimbal of any kind. I haven't stabilized this or color corrected it in Final Cut. This is just straight out of camera. Now, one thing I strongly recommend you getting if you're filming on an iPhone 13 or 14 is get a MagSafe adapter like this one from Moment, because you can just simply slap it against your tripod and it will magnetically attach. All you need to make sure, if you do want to use a case, just make sure you get a MagSafe case like this Buckle & Band leather case with MagSafe included. I'll put a link in the description to both of these below. So as we continue to watch this footage together, one thing I want to point out is that, again, this is all handheld. It's straight out of camera, so I haven't color corrected this. at all. This is just how the colors look straight out of camera, which is really impressive. If you want to do some editing and you don't want to waste your time color grading, you really don't have to. The colors coming out of the iPhone 14 Pro are really, really good. But because it can film in 10-bit, you can color grade it too, and it actually color grades really, really well. I'm going to do a future video showing you how I color grade and use LUTs with some of my iPhone footage. So make sure to subscribe if you want to see that future video. So trying out the cinematic mode on the front facing camera. Let's just get behind this bush. How's the cutout? So by the way, I'm walking around the RHS Bridgewater, which is in Worsley in Manchester, if you ever fancy taking a visit. But I thought it'd be a great place to experiment with the iPhone with all these colors and sort of beautiful flowers about. So just in case you wondered where I was. So it's definitely worth a visit here if you've never been here before. Even if you're not really into plants, it's just quite a relaxing, nice place to be. It smells so nice. There's a couple of cafes here, places to chill. Just a nice place to unwind actually, and it's not too far from where I live, so I can actually walk here, so it's not too bad. But it's nice when you get a beautiful day, especially during summer or autumn like it is today. A little bit chilly this morning, but nice now. So let's continue the adventure. So we're back in cinematic mode. I think that's my time here nearly done. So I'm going to go back, edit this video and look back at some of the footage to see what I think. And I'll give you kind of my roundup as I'm editing the video together. But right now I'm in cinematic mode. Oh, one thing about cinematic mode actually, I tend to dial it down. It always starts with like f1.8 or f2 or 2.8 I think. So I always dial it back to about 5 or 6 to get it looking a bit more natural. I'll do it now actually, so let's turn it up as high as it will go to, I think it's 2.8 on this phone, I'm not 100% sure. So as you can see, the background is super blurry, but probably what's happening, because I'm editing this, is it cuts out the hair quite badly. Now what we're going to do is turn it to maybe 6, maybe 7, and has that improved it? Does it look a little bit more natural, a little bit less blur, but you don't see some of the problems with the cutouts that you often get with the cinematic mode. So here's a quick look at some of the low light performance coming out of the iPhone 14 Pro. Overall, I'm pretty impressed. It's not hugely different from the 13 Pro, as you'll see, but you do get a little bit of reduced noise, especially on that ultra wide camera, and that's a camera that I tend to use a lot when I use the iPhone 14. I'm going to put up a video in a few weeks' time doing more low light tests and more photography. If you want to see that video, make sure to subscribe to the channel.